Welcome back to the library. Today, I am going to be giving you a book recommendation based off of my favorite films. Okay, if I was a director, this is what it would look like. This is Brooklyn's Library required lore. So if you're new here, this is the perfect video for you to watch. And if you are a returning viewer, returning bestie, thank you for, returning. One of these books I have not read, to be honest. So I'll let you know when I get there. This is going to be a long video. Don't be surprised if this video is an hour long. First of all, we have our requirements. Requirements to be my favorite movie. These requirements include a plot twist, some type of mind game, my weird sense of humor has to be quotable. If the movie is not quotable, why even make it? And there has to be either a female main character or a female character who is just a baddie. There has to be at least one musical number. That's it. So let's go. Number one, of course, the most obvious one, Black Swan. This movie I watched in 2021 for the first time ever, and I was wondering why no one has ever told me to watch this before. Because this is a psychological horror, okay, about an obsessive artist. Rude of nobody to tell me to watch that. Okay, so Nina is a 20-something-year-old ballerina who is stuck in between like childhood and adulthood, and her company is putting on Swan Lake, and she is auditioning to be the Swan Queen. No relation to the other Swan Queen. Spoiler, not spoiler, because within like the first 15 minutes of the movie, she gets the part, obviously. And so for this one, you have to play the Black Swan and the White Swan. And throughout the movie, hints to like what's gonna happen in the end. And the score is beautiful, and the visuals throughout, like this picture, and then this, oh my god, the part where she looks into the mirror and then her reflection is looking back at her. That's my favorite part, probably in all of like media ever. If I contradict myself, let me know. To me, when I watched it for the first time in 2021, this movie was completely predictable. Like, I predicted the plot twist at the end. I knew like everything that happened, and I was still like, okay, like what else? You know what I mean? Like, what else would happen? And it's like a straight parallel, I think, to Swan Lake. I don't really know about Swan Lake like that. I'm not a dancer. I am everything else except for a dancer. And the feminine rage, we love to see it. Like, Nina go off. Like, she for so long was being controlled by like everyone around her, and like she slays. Anyways, so for the books I would recommend would be, first of all Is Well by Mona Awad. Okay, so Miranda is much older, obviously, but she's also an obsessive artist, obsessed with her craft. The book is trippy, like Black Swan is. And then A Touch of Gin, because this, okay, for the first 50% of A Touch of Gin, because the last 50%, I was like, WTF is going on right now? Anyway, so A Touch of Gin, the first half, there's that obsession. And then there's that trippiness. Like, it was so good until I rated that book 2 stars, I think, because I was so mad. But anyways, so I would recommend those two for Black Swan. Up next, possibly the most quotable film of all time. It's gonna be The Cat in the Hat. This is like a children and family movie. There's something there for children, and then there's jokes in there for adults that you're like, wow, I didn't even catch that as a child. Some of my favorite quotes are the part where Cat's like, let's take a look under the hood, and then he like lifts up the couch and then he goes under there like a mechanic. Oh my gosh, so funny. And then the part with the dress where he was like, it was ruined when she bought it. Why is this funny to me? I don't know. And then, first of all, I don't even remember what he found under the couch when he was like, here it is. One where the fish is like, remember the fish? Anyways, I'm embarrassing myself right now, I feel. So this movie is just so funny to me. I always watch it, and I wanted to watch it literally today, but it wasn't streaming on anything when it was just on Netflix for like 2 straight years. So weird. Very loosely. First of all, I would recommend The Cat in the Hat by Dr. Seuss. Recommend for this one is not... This book is not funny. This book is quite serious. I would recommend Pet. Because this creature is a manifestation of someone's imagination. And, like, I feel like Cat is a manifestation of the kid's imagination. Like, there is a deeper message behind Cat and Cat in the Hat, I feel. Pet, this creature is a manifestation of Bitter's imagination. Is that a spoiler? No, it's not a spoiler. And so he comes and he talks to the main character. People are not supposed to know, really, that she is talking with Pet. And people are not supposed to know that these kids are chilling with this cat. And so Pet is quite serious, and Cat in the Hat is not. So I mean, like, if you want like a different vibe, same type of thing, go for that. This video is already a mess. Next, obviously, is going to be Silence of the Lambs. Hello, Clarice, that is her right there. There's not a musical number in this movie. However, the girl who gets kidnapped by Buffalo... This is not a spoiler. The girl who gets kidnapped by Buffalo Bill is singing in the car, so I'm going to count that as a musical number. And Hannibal, he's just so charming to me. Like, I don't know, like, Hannibal is... He puts on the charm for Clarice, for real. Do I ship them? Yes. I'm just saying. God. Obviously quotable, but a lot of people get the most famous quote from this movie wrong. I'm just going to set the record straight right now. It is good evening, Clarice. It is not hello, Clarice. Hannibal Lecter would not say that. He would say good evening, Clarice. And this is one of those Mandela effects that people are talking about, like the Bernstein Bears. You know how that's like spelled differently. Some people remember it spelled differently. I'm just saying. Yeah, Clarice slays. She slays. She's just the best. And she reminds me so much of Scully from The X-Files. So for the books, I would recommend The Naturals, because I feel like my taste in books and my taste in movies are very different. And The Naturals is a YA novel about these teens who have this special ability to like find criminals. You know, that's very not a good summary. But Clarice was mere but a trainee when she went in and talked to Dr. Lecter. And Dr. Lecter was like, okay, period, I'm just gonna spill about this killer that they're trying to find. And also, okay, so this is the book that I haven't read yet. None Shall Sleep. I have not read this yet, but it's obviously on my list because I heard that this was the Silence of the Lambs retelling. Someone who comes in to investigate a killer goes into the jail or the prison or whatever to team up with a serial killer to find this other serial killer. That's what I heard. I don't know because I haven't read it, obviously, but if you read it, please let me know because I want to read it. And I should just read it, but I think I want to own it, and that's why I haven't read it yet because I haven't bought it. And then we move on to quite possibly the best movie of all time. This movie has quite possibly every trope on my list, every trope ever in the history of tropes. This movie, who created this movie? First of all, this is one of those that the sequel is better than the first movie, and like you cannot tell me otherwise. And if you think otherwise, you're wrong, and I'm sorry for saying that, but cause Shrek 2 was the best movie ever made. Okay, first of all, we got Fairy Godmother. She's the most iconic villain to ever grace our presence. Stunning musical number. She's fabulous. She's hilarious. The whole movie is just so funny. There's so many references to IRL life. Like the far, far away sign is similar to the Hollywood sign. The red carpet with all of the fairy tale characters showing up, and then they're famous in real life, so they're like basically celebrities. So Shrek is like an anti-hero, gets married to the princess. They have to go to Far Far Awayville. Shrek is trying to desperately impress the in-laws. He's failing horribly because he's just an ogre. He's like, how am I gonna like do these fine dinings with these people? And then turns out the dad doesn't like him because the dad made a deal with the fairy godmother. And here's the thing. Yes, I'm spoiling Shrek 2. Dad made a deal with fairy godmother. Fairy godmother is like, hello, what about my son? And then the dad's like, okay, I'm trying my hardest, ma'am. And then fairy godmother's like, okay, bet. And so then the dad invites Shrek to do whatever with him in the woods. And then Shrek goes, and the dad actually set Shrek up to be killed by a cat. And so this cat is Puss in Boots. And so then they become friends because he's like, oh no, the king set me up to do this to you. And then Shrek's like, the king, what the heck? And then Shrek goes to Fiona's fairy godmother and is trying to get some help. And then fairy godmother is like, excuse me, I don't want to help you at all. And then Shrek's like, okay. And so he steals a potion that makes him beautiful. Okay. And then so he tries to go back to the castle, and he just like cannot. And so Prince Charming tricks Fiona, and she thinks that Prince Charming is beautiful Shrek. So Shrek is all like depressed and stuff, and then he tries to get her back, and he gets arrested. Shrek gets arrested, and then his friends from the swamp are like, oh my god, Shrek is getting arrested. So they go to Far, Far Away. And first of all, how did they get there so fast if in the beginning Shrek took forever to get there? Plot holes. Anyways, so then they get there and they rescue him. And then this is also one of the ones that have like adult humor and child humor. Great. So they go break into the castle to like rescue Fiona from Prince Charming. And then there's the most iconic musical number ever. Fairy Godmother, the Holding Out for a Hero song. Period. Nothing compares. Nothing. And if you think so, you're wrong. So then, Shrek comes and Fiona is like, oh no, like, we're ogres together. And then she waits for true love kiss until after the spell has broken. And then turns out we find out why. I'll leave a little bit of mystery for you. We find out why the dad made a deal with fairy godmother in the first place. And then there's the second most iconic musical number at the end. And so all is chilling, So you can't tell me that wasn't a wild ride. Like, that has everything. That, I don't know, Shrek 2, amazing, beautiful, gorgeous, spectacular. Nothing compares to Shrek 2. So it's extremely difficult to find a book that I would base off Shrek 2. If you can think of any book recommendations based on Shrek 2, leave them in the comments, like, for real. You should leave that comment because I was finding it so difficult to come up with a recommendation for this, and I settled on these two ones, which they're so loose that they don't even compare to Shrek at all, and I'm kind of embarrassed to share them, but I'm going to anyways. It's Once Upon a Broken Heart and Gilded, because they both have an likable villain, and the villains are not what they seem. They're both like fairy tale vibes. Shrek is obviously fairy tale vibes, obviously. And so that's what I would recommend for that. Another sequel that is better than the first one, and you can find me on this too. Miss Congeniality 2. First of all, I love Sandra Bullock. I think that I've seen every movie that she was in, except for Love Potion No. 9. I haven't seen that. But every other movie that Sandra Bullock was in, I believe that I have seen. She's my fave. Love her. This is Enemies to Friends. Great. Love that. And then, so there's also like 2 makeovers, okay? First of all, Gracie is going through a breakup or whatever. That's Sandra. And so then they want her to actually be the face of the FBI. So then she gets a makeover again, because the first one, she got a makeover or whatever. The first one's not required. You just have to know that she was an FBI agent that competed in a pageant. Undercover. And obviously she saved it because it's a movie. It's a makeover again. And so she's all like bougie now and whatever. So she actually is completely different than her old self. Her BFF gets kidnapped, and then she teams up with another FBI agent to find the BFF. The musical number in this slays. And then the iconic fit change, an hour and 19 minutes in. Iconic. So the final scene though, my heart. The final scene with when she's in the classroom, it's like she's talking to her younger self. And that is just so to me every time. This one, it was also difficult for me to come up with a book recommendation, but I settled on Finley Donovan is Killing It, because Finley Donovan yeah, I feel like she's similar to Gracie, and I feel like Sandra Bullock would play Finley Donovan in a movie. First of all, how did Sandra Bullock get roped into being an FBI agent entering a pageant? How did Finley Donovan get roped into becoming a hitman when she was just a writer? Exactly that. And of course, we have the best franchise ever. Scream. I'm talking about the first one, by the way, when I say Scream. First of all, the humor is like very self-aware. I believe they call it meta. I don't watch many horror comedies, so if you have recommendations, let me know, because Scream, obviously I've seen all of them, and the first time I watched Scream was in 2017 or 2018. First of all, how dare you guys not tell me to watch that before 2017, 2018? So rude. This is why I have trust issues, because I loved it. The plot twist, obviously the plot twist. I already said that these movies have to have a plot twist. Of course, some iconic quotes are, what's your favorite scary movie? Literally, any Ghostface merch has that iconic line on it. The hints to who is Ghostface scattered throughout is so good. I think that foreshadowing should be on the required list as well. And then, Hello, we love to see Shaggy. We love it. Yeah, Matthew Lillard slays. The books that I'm going to recommend are, okay, so first of all, You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight. The first 50%, in my opinion, is setting up to a similar thing that goes on with the Scream franchise and like Ghostface and all that. That's why I really love the first half of this book, because Scream is one of my favorite movies. It was not that, so you're gonna be kind of disappointed if you expect that to be the result, but just know that it's not. And then I would recommend The Last Word, because Emma kind of gives Sydney. She kind of gives Sydney, like, she's not scared of this crusty man, and Sydney is not scared of this crusty ghost face, like, period. Number 7 is, of course, Heathers, Illegal in Jail, because this one is trigger warning heavy. Well, it's satire, so of course it's trigger warning. It's also quotable, it's culty, it's a group of meanies. The musical is 10 out of 10, but that is not a movie yet, and I don't think they'll make it a movie, because I think that will cause way too much controversy. If Heathers was made today, it would not do well, and I think that they tried to make a show. It didn't do well. Winona Ryder is the Queen of Halloween icon. Veronica is so angsty, so teenage angst. Like, in my mind, that's who I was circa Tumblr 2014. If you want to watch Heathers, do it. And if you watch it, let me know how you feel, let me know your every thought. And when I first watched this movie, I didn't like it. I had to sit with it for a couple months, maybe a year, and then I watched it again and I was like obsessed. The book I would recommend is, obviously, this one's too obvious, Bunny by Mona Awad, obviously, is this. The way that they call each other Heathers, I'm pretty sure Bunny was kind of based off Heathers a little bit. The bunnies are Heathers, and then Samantha is Veronica. Like, that's exactly it. First of all, are their names actually Heather? If you know, let me know. Heather, because I know it's like Heather Duke, Heather Chandler, and then Heather McNamara, I think. But are their names actually that? Like, just like in Scream Queens, when she's like, oh, I'm Chanel number 5, I'm Chanel number 2, you know? I'm thinking too much into this. And then, obviously, Mamma Mia. First of all, Meryl Streep. Second of all, ABBA. Third of all, Grease. So this old lady's still getting their mans. It's a musical about friendship, found family, and then the soundtrack is just 11 out of 10. I always jam out. Oh, sometimes I jam out to the Mamma Mia soundtrack. I was obsessed, literally obsessed since I first saw the movie back in like 2012, 2013, I think, and I have been obsessed since. And I watched Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, and of course it's not as good, but it's still good. And I would still recommend that. And for Mamma Mia, the book I would recommend is People We Meet on Vacation, because you just know that the two main characters were jamming out to the Mamma Mia soundtrack and or ABBA. And then obviously number 9 is going to be Scooby-Doo. These movies I have rewatched a million times. Scream I only saw 3 times though. That's unfortunate. I should rewatch it again. So Scooby-Doo, the live action, obviously. First of all, Shaggy and Scooby, name a better duo. Exactly. You can't. Sorry. Nostalgic. It's Scooby-Doo is rated PG-13. There's humor for adults and there's humor for children. Are you kidding me? And quotable, the most quotable line of all. Me and my sister quote this all the time. Got a bag of hamburgers for you. And then there is a musical number in this. However, it's not by the cast, unfortunately. But there is... I think there is one in the second one. Books I would recommend are Saturday Night Ghost Club. Gives the Scooby-Doo vibes. And it's about kids investigating these ghosts. But these are actually ghosts. And then I would give Meddling Kids, because it's literally Scooby-Doo fan fiction. It's in the title that it's Scooby-Doo fan fiction. Meddling Kids. That's what all of the villains iconically call the characters of Scooby-Doo. Now, when I say Halloween movie, what do you guys think of? Tell me before I say it. Like, write it in the comments before I say it. I'll give you a sec. If you said Hocus Pocus, you are actually correct. No Halloween movie ever comes close to being this iconic as Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus 2, yes, but I only saw that one time, so I can't speak on it. So good, so good. I watch Hocus Pocus sometimes when it's not even Halloween season. That's how good it is. First of all, there's a talking cat. Looks like my cat. The witches. And the vibes about it. Like, oh, I'm talking about it one. Will I rewatch it tonight? I might. I just might, since Cat in the Hat is not available. I was about to say the best musical number of all time, but that award stays solid at SHREK 2. So I would have to say the second best musical number ever goes to Hocus Pocus, because I put a spell on you while they're putting a spell on people. If you haven't watched Hocus Pocus or SHREK 2, I can forgive the other ones, but if you haven't watched those two, my heart is broken. Literally click off, literally go watch it. I rewatch it at least once every day in October. Name 3 more iconic sisters. You can't. And so obviously I'm gonna recommend Cackle, because witches, small town, the vibes, talking spider instead of a talking cat, and the plot's not similar, but the vibes are similar. And then obviously, I'm gonna have to throw it all the way back to the beginning of literature and recommend Macbeth. Obviously, Shakespeare. That is where Three Witches origined from. And I will forgive you if you just look up the summary or look up the play. I'll forgive that. Not everyone's a Shakespeare girly, so I will forgive. Number 11, Bridesmaids. If you can get past the first scene, which sex in movies makes me more... Anyway, so if you can get past the first scene, the rest of the movie, I promise to you, is iconic. If you don't like bathroom humor, though, that's not iconic. A group of gals. Love that. It's hilarious. It's quotable. I literally quoted it when I talk about Fable, my book club, the Women's Wrong support group. Join it. It's for free. Literally a bridesmaid quote. The part where Kristen Wiig is on stage and she's competing with Maya Rudolph's new best friend, and they're like going back and forth on the mic, and she's just like, Lillian. And so, okay, so the book I would recommend for this is So Happy for You, because the main character was a hater just like Annie was a hater. So both of these main characters, their best friend decided to get married, and they didn't want them to change. Annie didn't want Lillian to change in Bridesmaids, and the main character of So Happy for You did not want her best friend to change after her wedding day. They both have changed. They both have grew up a little bit, and they're both like doing their own thing, and so they're both haters and they're both jealous. Both bridesmaid type of stories, but So Happy for You, from what I remember, that's a thriller and not a comedy. So my movies, please let me know if you have watched any of these movies. If you hate any of these movies, that's fine. Please let me know, because most of these movies are valid. If you hate them, valid. But if you hate Shrek 2, invalid. You need to change your mind. If you read any of these books, let me know. Your homework is to go to the comment section. List every book on this list that you have seen. And then tell me your thoughts on the books. On the movies, okay? And then for the ones that you haven't seen, what are you waiting for? Let me know if you haven't seen them too. And then is to tell me your favorite movie. The final part is to tell me your favorite actress or actor. No emojis this time. I mean, you can obviously leave emojis. I love emojis. But I'm not going to ask you to leave an emoji this time. I'm going to ask you to do the homework. Thank you for tuning into this episode of The Lore of Brooklyn's Library. If you want me to do a TV show version of this, let me know, because I'll probably do it anyway, to be honest. I hope that the instructions were clear. I just want to know your every thought always. Like, what are you thinking? Anyway, thank you for watching. If you want to join my book club, it's called the Women's Wrongs Support Group, and it's on the app called Fable. It's for free. If you want to follow me on Instagram to chat about your favorite movies and your favorite books and your favorite TV shows, is Brooklin's Library on Instagram if you want to talk to me about your favorite books and movies and shows. Thank you for coming down to the library today. See you later.